So welcome to the first of our Digital Union Industry Insights, and I'm really pleased to be sitting here with Sarah Tempest from Altogether to have a chat about her business and how she's getting on in the industry and how she feels that the sector's going and things. So obviously you're a branding and communications company. So and you started your business after the closure of Sumo Design. So what made you sort of start your own business? What gave you the inspiration to start your own business at that point?
I've worked with my co-founder and business partner Michael for a number of years, and it was something where we thought we had that kind of combination of skills and expertise to do something on our own. I think having worked in the industry, I was creative director at 28, and just had so much creative control and freedom over how I led the team, but I never had that ultimate autonomy in actually having something of your own and having that control over what kind of work you make and who you make it with. So when we set up Altogether, it was really to do something that was about creating meaningful work that we were proud of, and work that would make a difference, in the sense that if we can help an organisation or a business or a person be able to articulate what they do, why they do it, and instill that passion through brand and comms and communicating it wider. You know, that's absolutely at the heart of why we set this up, really.
And is that why you got into it in the first place? What attracted you to the sort of brand, not even prior to the business and work and what?
I suppose it's led by interest and what you're good at, and I was really good at art, loved drawing, and also English, and I just loved coming up with ideas and that kind of thing. And it was only, I must have been about 14, had some careers advice, and people say, oh, what about graphic design? Never heard of it.
No.
And at the time, and I think it is still like this now really, people didn't really give school kids placements or give them a chance to actually understand what a career would be like in the creative industry. But I was lucky enough, like one of my teachers actually found me a placement in an agency up in Summerhill Terrace. It's not there now. And I remember making like something white against a black background and black against white, and just thinking, oh, that looks incredible if I could do this for a living. And then I went to college, and at the time it was corporate identity, which so restricted and sounds so stiff, and creating a logo and applying it to things. But I learned my craft, I learned my trade, and just loved the practice of it all. And it was only when I got my first job really that I actually understood that it's much bigger than that, and brand and communications, it's so multi-layered, and that's what fascinated me most, and that's kind of what I've built on through my career really.
Right, and does that come through with Altogether then? Is that one of your true values when you're talking to clients and when you're discussing projects and
absolutely. We kind of wouldn't start anything without really getting to know people, and that's part of our methodology, if you like, is to actually involve the team, involve the staff. I think brands changed a lot in a sense that I think many years ago there might be a new identity which is enforced from a management team, but I think people really value that sense of involvement and ownership, and actually involving the people at the heart of the organisation. And it means that when you get to the visual stage, you've got all of those foundations, you know what that purpose, why people do it, why people come to work every day, and that's our job to then interpret that visually. So I think it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, great. So since you started, when you started, what were the initial challenges? What was the challenges to starting the business? And
I think probably the first thing was financing it, and having the courage to finance it through startup loans. Where do you go for that? But I mean, we found the city to be really supportive in that sense, and because we'd already started making those networks, we knew about P&E. They helped us with our application, and I remember being terrified, thinking, if we don't get this startup money, what will we do? We could start the kitchen table, we could do this.
What did that help you do, that initial startup loan?
It was helping us understand what, I guess, the basics of what we would need. So essentially, if we had a couple of Macs, it's our expertise, it's our skills, it's ourselves. But we needed we needed that. We needed a couple of months' rent. So it was understanding that actually you don't need a lot, but you need something to kick off. And then I suppose the next challenge was startup space.
Right.
which for about a month we hadn't realised. I think we were just like, great, we'll get a studio, and looked around town, looked out of town, and just, you know, the kind of people that we are, we wanted to work a lot in the arts as well, and we wanted people to actually want to come here, want to meet with us, and for us to be inspired, you know. And it was really disappointing and a little bit disheartening, but we found Baltic 39, which is just fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a good combination of the uni, the council, and there's all different practices in here.
And do you think in general that's a challenge? Do you think that's a challenge for the sector, that there's not enough appropriate space for sort of creative digital companies to sort of get into and start growing?
Yeah, I do, because I think places like this kind of trigger that collaboration as well. So had we not been here, you know, we wouldn't have met developers, architects, CGI, all sorts of different practices that can come together. And I think that without having that and having small offices in isolation that need updating, I guess it's quite off-putting, because you want to do something fresh, you want to kind of be proud to come to work every day, and to attract staff as well, you know, young designers, creatives, you want to have that space.
So you've recently turned 3. What has the journey over the last 3 years looked like for you, and how has your team grown, and how has your sort of client base evolved? And
we turned 3 in May, June, so it's been incredible really. I think when we did start, we thought we'd be the 2 of us probably for the first year or so, but towards the end of the first year we had to hire a junior, and it was interesting because we looked at lots of different portfolios, put it kind of far and wide, and he actually came from Newcastle College, so it was good for us, I think, to see. I'm from Newcastle College, Michael's Northumbria, so big advocates of the region, but I think just having that, you know, somebody come through that can kind of give us that support and he can grow with us as well was really important. It's quite major, I think, making the first hire as well, you know, knowing that you're going to be able to sustain somebody else's career. And then we made a second hire in the second year, which was a senior. So we're 3 now, and there's 4 of us, and we've got part-time finance. I think we want to stay quite a small niche team, so that always plays on our mind as well, of, you know, growing sensibly as well.
Does that mean having that smaller niche team and being more nimble, does that give you more flexibility about choosing the clients that you work with?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, as I said, you know, we want to produce meaningful work with great people that we are proud of, so I think we only take on projects that we know we can kind of add to that, and that we are going to be the team for the project. So being a small team as well, it means that people can speak to our creatives directly. You know, we're all creatives, so we don't really have that kind of extra project management or those extra heads that sometimes you might have in a larger agency. So the budget's almost maximised really with a smaller studio.
Has the approach that businesses take towards branding and communications changed over the previous, say, 10 years, and how's that changed?
Yeah, I think from our perspective, it definitely has. I think digital's changed it a lot. In that, you know, an identity and a brand it's just not static. You know, it's not something that you can apply consistently across things. It's a whole experience, and actually the people that you're engaging with are your brand. Digital has given everybody a voice. You know, social media is a platform for everybody to have an opinion, to take something, to write something about your business or your organisation. So in a sense, there's a control that's being handed over. So I think that people are having to, I guess, adapt and evolve very quickly with all of the changes.
And in your view, then, what can the impact of having a good brand and solid communications do for you as a business?
Internally, it can really bring people together. I think, you know, that's one of the things actually as well that has changed, I think, in terms of how people are understanding the value of having a good brand. in actually involving the whole team and having that sense where it's not somebody enforcing a logo on an organisation, it's everybody's involved, there's a sense of pride and ownership, people can get behind it, and there's a common goal, so everybody can articulate the purpose and everybody knows where that organisation's going. And I think people are understanding that that's an investment worth making, and that's actually a big part of the process is involving people.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you talk about the foundation, because that's something I've learned over the years, that, you know, your brand and, you know, the way you talk about your people, and it's almost like an ethos as much as it is, you know, a logo and a set of idents and you know, some key messages and what have you. So from that, now that seems to be permeating more, do you see it developing? Do you see sort of brand communication and the way people use brands developing? Do you think there's a greater understanding of that and then it's moving forward? Where do you see it going?
There is that, I think there's a sense that people are starting to see through kind of, you know, big soulless messages, and they want that direct, that real, and that kind of transparent story, really. I know people talk about authenticity so much, but I think that is, you know, that is very true. I think if you can kind of widen your audience's understanding of what your organisation is trying to do, there's more chance of being able to connect and resonate, build awareness of your brand.
So you've based yourself in the very heart of Newcastle, sitting here in Baltic 39, which is smack bang in the middle of the city centre. And what do you like most about running a company here? Does it have its advantages? Is it just comfortable for you?
It's just it's a great city. It's a great city to be based. It's a good place to be. In terms of, for us, kind of travelling, so we've got, you know, we do a lot of work in the region, but we'll also do a lot of work in Edinburgh, London, so it's easy for us to kind of get out of the city, come back in, and clients who come in to visit us as well, they're always really impressed, and I think people's perceptions are changing of Newcastle. I think in the sense of a community as well, I think there's much more sense of different little pockets of communities, events that you can go to and just meet like-minded people. I suppose in the past few years, the things that I've really enjoyed personally of running a business here, I mean, in Baltic 39, there's an event, I don't know if everyone's heard of it, Ladies Wine and Design, and that was started by Huli Vignette, who works in Baltic, just bringing females and women together from the creative industries and actually getting them together over a glass of wine, different topic, you can share your work, chat, it's always really, you know, kind of intimate space. But that's what I like, is that you can go along to these things and it feels really accepting in Newcastle. And the same with Northern Design, which was started from Design Event, trying to raise awareness of the creative industries through architecture, design, product design. That's a great community as well. So I think just generally being part of those little pockets of creativity is great. So
and then Digital Union, of course, being part
and
of
Digital
that
Union.
Being part of that
well,
community as well. But how do you feel that the sector's, did you feel that the sector's grown up a lot recently? I mean, that was interesting that you're pointing to various things that you can get together and, you know, there's various meetups, but do you think the sector in other ways has grown up quite a lot in the not just obviously the design sector, but the wider digital and tech sector as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is an exciting place to be at the moment. I think, you know, there is so much happening, and there's, you know, because there's that environment there for people to start up and feel like they can. I think there's probably a lot of smaller studios and smaller individuals that gives everybody a chance to collaborate more. I think 10 years ago I wouldn't have had a network which I would know about great copywriters, photographers, developers. I think it's that kind of community that gives you those options and, you know, helps you find the best people. So I think in terms of the sector, I think we're becoming more open and happy to work together more. I think it's a great place to be.
So there's a couple of things within that. Do you think there's enough support for businesses growing at the minute? Do you think there could be more support? Or?
It's nerve-wracking for most businesses thinking about growing or taking on one new person. So I think to have that, I know that obviously the scale up northeast and that kind of support and Digital Union with your different workshops and activities. So I think there's an awareness there. I think it's more just having that, people having the bravery. I think it's probably more of the the kind of political landscape at the minute that might stop people. I think there's definitely, from our perspective, we've had, you know, endless amounts of people getting in touch, the Chamber of Commerce, yourselves. I think there is that support there. I think it's just people actually kind of make that next step and actually engage in.
Okay, great. And the other thing that you mentioned that I just want to pick up on was the people. How, I mean, obviously it's still a small team, but you're recruiting at present, aren't you? And how are you finding that?
I think it is difficult to find somebody who has got that kind of just, I guess, multi-layered creativity that is conceptual, can be great at execution, and just have those skills that can fit into a small team, because you're going to need to hit the ground running as well. You know, I think we don't always have the time to kind of integrate people in where you would if you were a 50 person team. So we're just finding that there's a bit of there just seems to be a bit of a gap in that, in people of that kind of calibre. But saying that as well, I think junior designers and placements, I think there's still, don't really know what's happening at the moment with the kids, because they're paying so much money for their courses. You would think they'd come out and just be so hungry for it. But it's definitely something that is lacking. I think it's just that passion and drive to actually put themselves out there, or to have something in their portfolio that stands out, or if it's something special that you just think this person is going to be. You don't even have to be the best designer, just somebody who's going to fit in and be a really big part of it. But we had someone in recently from Shillington College, and I don't know if you've heard of that. It's 3 month kind of intense course, so they get a different project every day, really fast paced. And the portfolio was really good compared to perhaps kids that have been through a 4-year course. So I think it's changing how people are being educated in the industry as well.
You've done a lot of work, just talking of the talent pool and the skills gaps issue. You've done quite a lot of work speaking to school kids about careers in the creative industries. And what's the progress looking like at the moment in educating young people about not just, I suppose, the advantages of still being able to do something creative at school, when, you know, a lot of people, like I heard a lady on the news this morning go on STEM, which is really massively important, but in my view, and I think our view, creativity. So do you see that embedding? Do you think when you go into the schools, you see that there's a desire from the school itself as well as the kids to still engage in that creative process and be involved in creative careers in the future?
You know, the kids seem quite astounded by the kind of level of work and, you know, and things that you can do. Illustration, there was somebody with me who was film, and there was a radio producer, so it was a really diverse kind of creative industry panel. And the kids were really excited about it. I think it was probably the teachers more than anything that was saying, you know, but if you do go into this line of work, are there going to be jobs? And I think that can be said about most industries. So I think it's probably more the educators that are slightly more hesitant in actually pushing it and recommending it. I think it is still difficult for kids to kind of get in and do placements and things. And we've had a couple of school kids, and it's just, they've got kind of a, you know, there's a bravery there because they've not been taught any particular way, so they're just happy to be here and it's great. So there's definitely a freshness that something then falls away at uni. It's how you keep that.
I mean, and the other thing within that is, you know, continuing to try and have those dialogues with schools and the entire education system, because it happens at university level as well, where they understand that there are the businesses here and there's a thriving business community as well. In the entire sector. It's not just the big companies, and it's not like you'll have to go to London or whatever. It's just keeping that up here. So well done for doing that. I think that's it. I think
thank you very much.
We've gone through everything, and just say thank you very much, Sarah. It was great.
Lovely. Thanks, Jamie.
Happy?
Cheers. Extreme.